joined the Antisocial Network.
Yeah. Mask up, stay 6 feet apart.
Yeah, right.
Welcome once again to YeahUhHuh with Lisa, Phil, and Aaron. This week we're talking with Teri M. Brown. Her latest book is 10 Little Rules for a Double-Butted Adventure. Okay. So, this is about Teri and her husband riding a tandem bike across America. And Teri, if you want to give us a little bit about your adventure.
Hopefully that intro didn't blast you right out of your chair.
It was a little loud. I checked to make sure that somehow I wasn't up to, and it was like, no, okay, everything's good.
No, it was loud.
It's like, wake up, you're on YeahUhHuh.
Oh, you're now on. Okay.
We might want to work on that.
So my husband and I, it was interesting. I met him in 2018. I had gotten out of a really bad marriage in which it was an abusive situation, and I had been in it for far too long. And I was never, ever, ever getting married again. Never. Like, I was done. There was no need to ever do that again. And I met Bruce, and he tells people that he chased me until I caught him. And eventually, I think I just got used to him being around. And he was who he said he was, and it became apparent, and we did get married. But in that period of time while we were dating, he brought up that he had always wanted to ride across the United States on a bicycle. Well, I had just gotten out of this horrible relationship, and I wanted to do something big and bold and well outside of my comfort zone. I felt like I needed to prove to people that I still had value. Turns out, I needed to prove it to me. No one else was wondering, but that was the mindset I was in. And I thought riding across the United States on a bicycle would be big and bold, especially for someone like me who's not been on a bicycle in 40 years. So I asked him, is this something you're going to talk about until the day you die, or are you actually going to do it? And he said, no, I want to do it. I said, count me in. Well, Bruce is a cyclist and has been for his whole life. And there was no way, no amount of training was ever going to get me to the same place that he was, which meant that the ride wasn't going to be fun for either one of us, because either he was going to have to go really slow, or he was going to be so far ahead of me that I was going to be doing the ride by myself, and we would just meet up at the end of every day. So we decided to do it on a tandem bicycle, because when you're on a two-seater bike, you can't go faster or slower than the other person. You have to do everything together. And so we started training, and we decided to do that ride in the summer of 2020. It was meant for 2020. Then COVID happened, and then we did it despite that. So
Wow. So
Cool.
one of my first questions was, how does that work? I've never ridden on a tandem bike. I can imagine maybe one of you may have more energy than the other at different times, and the pace of it might change. And
so the pedals actually, if one person is turning their pedals, the other pedal goes around in circles as well. So there's a timing chain that holds the pedals together. But if the other person isn't pedaling, the person who is knows it. Like there's no way, we used to have people yell at us, she's not pedaling back there. And it was like, he would know if I wasn't pedaling. Like, there's no way he could have carried the whole load, right? He would have known that I wasn't pedaling. But yeah, you're right. Sometimes, there were times where it was like, look, we've got to slow down. We got to take a break. One of the two of us was doing better than the other one. And so you just had to kind of really learn to work together and be very aware of your partner, and be not only just aware, but be willing to adjust to whatever else is going on. So maybe Bruce didn't have a good night's sleep one night, so he's not as strong as normal. Well, without his strength, we're not going to do as well, because I'm not an avid cycler and I'm still learning all of the ropes. And so we would have to do things differently on those days. And on days where I just wasn't feeling it or couldn't do it, he could have gutted through, but what would that have done for him the next day? So you have to learn to kind of just adjust to one another, and just think about what's our pace going to be today.
How did you handle like hills?
Yeah, slowly.
So did you like get off, or did you put your feet down and walk up, or?
Pedal.
Yeah,
Gear down and pedal.
but
Okay.
what goes on a tandem bicycle? They're heavier than a regular bike. Just because the frames are heavier, then there's two people on the bicycle. And we were pulling a trailer as well that had camping gear and other things in it. So there were some hills that no amount of gearing down and no amount of gutting through were going to get you up. So you did have to get off and push. So Bruce wore a heart monitor, and he knew that when his heart got above a certain level, that he was now expending more energy than made sense. And at that point, we would get off the bike and we would push for a while.
So I guess I was under the impression you had a Winnebago or something, but you were actually pulling a trailer and camping at night.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pulled the trailer, camped at night. Every now and then we stayed in very, 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 very cheap motels. And I don't know if you can picture that, but whatever you've pictured, make it about 10 times worse. And that's the kind of motels we were staying in.
We've seen a few. We went to West Virginia.
In those.
Yeah. We stayed in one in Montana that was smoking rooms only.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I didn't even know those existed anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to date back to the 50s.
And in a hotel where the majority of the rooms are smoking, I would think that you really couldn't find a room that wasn't redolent with the scent, whether you wanted to or not.
Whether you wanted to. And, on that particular day, it had been a very hard, tough, one of the toughest days that we had. When we got to the first motel and stopped, it was the one we were staying at. It could have said anything, been anything, smelled anyway. It didn't matter. There was a bed, there was a shower, and there was a burger joint across the street. And we didn't need anything else. It was like, oh, thank God we're done for the day.
That brings up, did you carry food?
So yes, we always had some food with us. Typically, we tried to get food along the way and wherever we were going. But remember, we did this during the summer of 2020. So because it was COVID summer, there were a lot of places that would normally have been open that were not. And you never want to get stuck in a way that you don't have something. So we had some, I don't know, you add water to them and heat them up. And
freeze dry.
That kind of meal. So we had several of those because they don't weigh much. And then we always had snacks. So I would make like nuts and cereal mix and little M&Ms and things and have packs of that so that you always had something to snack on. And we had a lot of oatmeal packs. And so, you could survive for some time that way.
Food, yeah.
It was very much like backpacker food. And then along the road, whenever we saw a place to get food, you didn't pass it up in hopes there was some place 5 miles away. Oh, well, we want to eat in about an hour. No, we're going to go ahead and grab it now because you don't really know what's coming down the pike. So
Right.
So that's like a real...
It's kind of like that, what is it, last place where you can get gas for 50 cents in 3 miles.
Yeah.
And then you go past the 3 miles, half a mile later, it's 49 cents.
Right.
Kind of,
But it was one of those things that we learned. There was one time where we had a map and it was, telling us, and we knew there'd be food at this little town. And we really pinned our hopes on it because it was another hard day and we're, getting there. And we got to this small town and nothing was open. Nothing, not even the gas stations. It was, it was closed. The town, I don't even know that the town even exists anymore. It was, I think COVID kind of killed it. And so we get there and then what do? There's no food. There's nothing. And luckily there was a gentleman who was out working in his yard and he was willing to put us in the back of his pickup truck and drive us like another 7 miles and drop us off in a town where we could get the food we needed. So.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is really nice.
Yeah.
I was wondering how you carried all your gear. I was going to ask if it was in like backpacks or if it had some kind of panniers, but you had a trailer.
Well, and panniers. So we had those. I carried a backpack that just had water. So we had the Camelback, you know, and I carried water. Bruce carried a little more in his backpack, but I'm not strong enough in the shoulders. And by the end of the day, my back and then my hips would hurt so badly if I had too much weight. So I learned, I just did water. And I was always thankful by mid-afternoon when half my water was gone, so that I didn't have to carry as much on my back. But yeah, panniers. And then, like I said, we had a trailer, and it was one of those that's supposed to let 2 kids sit in the back, but we had taken the seats out and then just put our gear in it.
Now, what as a non-biker, what is a pannier?
So those are like the bags that hang on the side of the bicycle. They're
like
usually
like a saddlebag.
like a saddlebag that's like hangs by the wheels. And so we had both front and rear panniers, and then we had each had a little backpack that mine, like I said, only had water. Yeah, with the Camelback. And then we had the trailer. We looked like a small circus, you know, as we went by. The children would wave.
Yeah. I'm sure it was like a conversation piece to see you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone was always saying, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" Because it was obvious we were not out for an afternoon.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
especially by the middle of the ride, everything is now dirty. We're dirty. You know, we do not look like we're out there for an afternoon stroll of you know, 4 or 5 miles, you know, and it's like, where are you going? And so Bruce always told them we're going to Washington, D.C., but not today.
So we should say 3,102 miles from Oregon to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Average speed 10.4. This is all information that I've read. 10.4 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So how long did it take?
It was 72 riding days. We were gone a little over 90, I think 91 days, maybe 92 days. You have to take breaks. Sometimes you have to take breaks because you're exhausted, and sometimes you have to take breaks because the weather isn't cooperating and there's no way. We were in, believe it was in Minnesota. Might have been, I can't remember now, but we were getting storms that were coming through. And as we're watching what's happening, we realized we needed to get a motel. We had to stay someplace because a campground wasn't going to cut it. And for 3 days, we couldn't move because there was thunderstorm after thunderstorm after thunderstorm. And sometimes with winds as high as 60 and 70 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah, we've had that before. Wind-top hurricane.
Right. And so you can't ride in that, and you don't want to be in a tent in that.
Pedaling forwards and moving backwards.
Seriously. And so we I think we stayed in maybe like a Red Roof Inn or something like that. And it was next door to a restaurant and about a quarter of a mile from Walmart. Perfect. And I said, we can make this work. You know, between rainstorms, you'd go to Walmart, you'd get food, you'd bring it back for dinner, you'd head to the restaurant. Yeah. And that's kind of how we lived. But that was 3 days, you know, and so sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. And there were other times where physically we needed a break. And it was like, we're just going to have to take a break. Let's see if they'll let us spend another night here. Great. I mean, it was just,
Yeah.
Did you call that a 0 day?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Did you have a lot of like, you know, I mean, well, actually, how did you finance the whole thing?
Yeah. So, well, luckily, my husband is a 25-year veteran, and he had already retired from a regular job as well. So financially, we had money coming in despite not working. And we essentially saved for it and said, this is something that we want to do. It isn't horribly expensive when you do the camping. Right. You know, we didn't have gasoline. We didn't have, you know, and we tend to be the kind of people that do things on the cheap, you know, like I don't mind stopping at a Dollar General and picking up no-name brand oatmeal. I don't have to have, you know, high-end things. And so we did a lot of that. And that's pretty much how we did it all the way across.
Frugally.
Yeah, we're frugal, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So I see that your son hiked the Appalachian Trail. So that begs the question, when you were out there, were there any delays where you came upon a region of the country or natural wonder that you just wanted to take a couple days to explore the area?
So it wasn't my son, it was my son's friend. But yes, there are actually places that we want to go back to. Because when you're on the bicycle, there were things that I wish that I could see, but they were like 12 miles away. And 12 miles on a bicycle is 24 because you have to get there and back. And after a long day, you don't want to do another 24 miles to go see something pretty. But we did spend a little bit of time when we were in UP, Michigan. We went, what is it, Mackinac Island?
Yeah.
So we went and saw Mackinac Island. We stayed in a campground on one side of the bridge, went and did Mackinac Island. Then we went to the other side and stayed in a campground. So we saw quite a bit in that area. And that was absolutely beautiful. We also
no campgrounds on the island, or
I don't believe there are. If they are, they're probably so expensive that we never even considered it. It was just better off the island. And then I have relatives that live in Montana, and we spent 3 days with them, and they took us to see some sites in Montana. So we didn't ride them. We just put the bikes up, and then we, did our thing. And so that was really beautiful as well.
Well, you mentioned Montana. One of my fantasies that lasted maybe 6 months was that I was going to go ride the Outlaw Trail. We're getting ready to do movies of Robert Redford on one of our podcasts, and I picked Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid basically because of that. So there are places, like if I were to do what you did, there are places where I'd probably want to dwell for a little while,
Yeah.
But I know the feeling, because when we came back from, we went to Virginia, we saw Mount Vernon, we saw Alexandria and the White House and stuff. But when we were coming back, we could have made a diversion to go to Monticello, and we didn't, because I wanted to get home, and I now regret that greatly.
Well, yeah, but sometimes you have to, especially when you're riding the bike, you have to make a lot of decisions. Like, what is the best thing? And not
your
only
body
that,
makes a lot of the decisions.
For you. And not only that, but there were some things that you think you want to see, but you recognize that getting there on a bicycle is not going to be an easy feat. So we also had to look at, like, how horrible would it have been to try to get the bicycle into and out of that area?
Right.
The following year, Bruce and I rode the coast of Maine. We did 300 miles up the coast of Maine, and I wanted to see lighthouses. Well, I live in North Carolina, and lighthouses are right on the shore, which is flat, and you just walk right up to them. Well, that's not what it is in Maine.
Rocky.
Maine, they're rocky and up real high. So every time we would get to a lighthouse, it was this horrible ride up.
Yeah.
And so, you have to learn. It's kind of like, oh, I didn't think that trip all the way through, did I?
Right. Well, I think on that same trip, going to Virginia, we wanted to see Appomattox Courthouse, which we did. But as I recall, it was up a huge, windy, twisty hill to get there.
Right. So can you imagine saying, hey, I'm on a tandem bicycle and I want to go up there. And then you start to get close and you look up and you say, I don't want to see it that badly.
Right. Yeah, that's
like Mount Rushmore.
No, I understand completely, because there were nerves when we were driving.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I
was thinking Phil on the Outlaw Trail, and I don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I was naive. I didn't know what it was like going through the canyons. He does
not do well with canyons.
And Appomattox Courthouse was actually on our agenda. It was not a side trip.
Right.
Yeah,
he keeps thinking it was a side trip.
Lisa did plan
but
that.
I planned the whole trip. I planned maps. I had paper maps. We didn't have GPS.
Well, so we
was traveling old school.
So we had paper maps with us. Now, we did have our phones, but there were times where they did not work.
Right.
Because you would get into these dead zones, and we could not afford to not know where we were. And so we had paper maps that we used the whole way across as well. And what's funny is I, as the inexperienced cyclist who thought she knew so much after all of our training and reading other people's blogs that I thought I knew, I sat down before we left and I created a master plan. And I knew where we were going to be every day. and where we were going to stay and how many miles we were going to ride. And on day one, we didn't meet my expectations, but that was okay. And I adjusted things. And on day two, we once again didn't meet my expectations. And so I adjusted things. And on day three, I threw my plan away because I realized that you can plan at a kitchen table and it is not even close to what's happening in real life.
Right. Kind of like when I planned this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, things just, you just kind of, you just have to make do. You have to say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that today's 40 miles that I thought we were going to make is completely uphill.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which means we're not going to make it 40 miles.
Mm-mm.
Right.
You know, you can't. There it is.
Or maybe it's high elevation too.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many?
Or maybe it was bad weather, or maybe it was just a bad day. There's some days you don't ride as well as other days. You get up and you're just not feeling it. You know, and if you were at home, you would have said, yeah, today I'm not going out for a ride, but you're not at home. So you do have to ride, but you're not going far.
How many tires did you go through?
Oh, I don't even remember. We had lots of flats. We had to get new tires on a couple of different occasions. There was one day, the day that I told you about in Montana that was so bad that we had 3 flat tires in one day.
Wow.
The back tire went flat 3 different times. We went through all of our tubes. It was horrible. When we got to the hotel, Bruce called a local bike shop, told him what he needed. The guy said, oh yeah, we're just like 3 miles up the road. And Bruce said, I don't have 3 miles in me. How much would you charge me to deliver it here? And the guy said, you know what? I passed right by there on my way home from work. I'll just drop them by for you. I could have kissed him when he got there. Yeah, he had, he had a new patch kit, and he had, several tubes and a couple of other little things that we needed. And we didn't have to ride to get it. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh yeah.
Or pay through the nose.
Right. And we would, at that point, we would have paid anything. He could have said it's a $30 fee, and we would have said, bring it on. Yeah.
There are good people in the world.
There are.
Yeah.
So that begs so did you ever get to the point where, I'm sorry, sweetie, where it's so grueling where you felt like, okay, I'm going to cut it off tomorrow morning, I'm going to call for an Uber or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I actually did. On that day with the 3 flat tires, we had to go 70 miles. There was no option, because where we had spent the night before and where we were going next, there was nothing in between. Nothing. Mm. I mean, we didn't pass not a single town, not a single, we were out there.
Camping in the open wasn't an option?
Not really. I mean, we could, I guess, been on the side of a highway, but you're talking, no way to refresh your water. Not
even like exits to get off?
No, there was nothing. It was just sheer nothingness. There was one state rest stop that we did stop at. But they didn't allow camping there. So, I mean, I guess we could have snuck and tried, but the option really was we needed to get to this next town. And of course it was a very hot day and the wind was blowing in the wrong direction. So we felt like all day long we were working twice as hard as we should have. And we've got 70 miles to go and we had 3 flat tires. And at the end of that day, I looked at him and I said, I'm not having fun anymore. I think this is it. I think we're done. And I put that out on my blog. I kept a blog every day and I was very honest. And anyone who wants to read it, you can go to my website. It's still there. And I was extremely honest. It wasn't, all glory. It was, I stood on the side of the road and cried with the cows today. I mean, I was honest. And so I put it out there that I think we may be done. And I had a friend reach out to me who said, what you've done so far is amazing. You've gone 1,000 miles. You've gone over the Rockies. If you stopped today, you have nothing to hang your head about. You have done more than most people. However,
no shame.
Don't quit on a bad day. You'll always wonder if you could have made it.
Yeah.
Take a break, take an easy day tomorrow, do something, but don't quit on a bad day. And I am so glad I took that advice, because the next day was a fantastic day. And the day after that was hard again, but that fantastic day in the middle gave us enough oomph, and we made it. We made it the whole way across, just like we had planned. And so in my book, 10 Little Rules for a Double-Butted Adventure, that's one of my rules, is don't quit on a bad day. And I don't tell people don't quit. Sometimes quitting is exactly what you need to do. If it's not serving you anymore, stopping something is fine.
If you get injured.
Yeah, but don't quit just because, you know, my feet hurt today and I'm hungry and I'm tired, because those things feel huge. If
you break
in the
an ankle,
moment.
that's one thing. Your feet hurt's another. Right.
You know, and so you have to kind of look at it and say, is this really something to stop for? Is this serving me? And you can't do that in the moment. You need time to step back and reflect. So
yeah, that's a great axiom right there.
Yeah.
Don't
quit
at the lowest level.
No,
when you're at your lowest
you
level.
mentioned being dirty and grimy. Were you? I mean, how hard is it to do laundry?
So I hand washed most things most of the time. So we had one thing we were wearing and one thing that was ready to be worn. And so at the end of every day, I would take the thing that I was wearing, pull it off, take my shower, put on what I'm going to wear tomorrow, right? Wash in the sink, hang it to dry. And if it wasn't dry by morning, we just tied it onto the trailer and let the wind flap it dry.
Oh, cool.
And so then at the end of that day, you take your shower, you put on those clothes for the next day, you wash the things that you were in, and you just did that cycle over and over and over.
Yeah. Just like that treetop hurricane, you could dry something in minutes.
I know. One time, my friends surprised me with a trip to a lake where you could actually swim in Indiana, near where we live here in Cincinnati. And it was a surprise. So, of course, I had nothing to swim in. So I took off my clothes and I just swam in my bra and panties, which fortunately I was wearing something cute that day. But what is it? You know, they got me right after laundry day. So, you know, I get out of the water and I kind of left the panties as they were and just pulled on my my jeans. But I didn't want to put my top on over my bra with it being sopping wet. So I decided to hang my bra out the window on the way. And, well, somewhere in Indiana, there's a $40 bra lying next to the road.
And someone who's going by on a bicycle is looking at that going, how did a bra get on the side of the road?
What happened here? Yeah.
Like, you know, when you see
Surprise!
shoes, when you see shoes hanging in trees and things. And
Yeah.
Like, what is that? But
See a lot of weird things on hikes. Like,
yes, absolutely.
Why is there underwear in this bush?
Yes. Why is there a bra on the side of the road? This makes no sense.
But when you see a PBR can, you know exactly what that's all about.
You know exactly what was going on there. Exactly.
Oh, yeah. What is it? Oh, how much did you originally plan as far as distance, like on an average per day versus what you actually succeeded at? How many days did you think it would take? How many days did it actually take?
So I thought that we were going to average 60 miles a day because all the blogs said that's what people averaged. But all the blogs were by people riding on a single bike, not on a tandem bike. And that makes a significant difference. Significant.
I would think so.
And yes, so I said 60. We actually went closer to 40 was our average. And I don't think that I had planned out number of days. I just assumed, you know, it was kind of like, well, we'll just get done, you know, when we get done. Some of the things, though, that we had started out with one mindset and then realized that we were killing ourselves needlessly and we were going to ruin the trip for ourselves. We had anticipated that we would ride every single solitary pedal stroke, that we would never push the bike, that we would never accept a ride, that we would never, like, we were going to do it 100% under our own steam on the bicycle, period, end of sentence. Well, it didn't take too long. We did that for a couple of days where we just pushed and pushed and pushed. And my husband said, I can tell you right now, we haven't even gotten to the Rockies yet. And if we continue at this pace, doing like we're doing now, we will not make it. He said, we're wearing ourselves out needlessly. And then there were a couple of times where we needed help. There was one point where the road that we were on had been torn up in construction all the way down to the dirt for 10 miles.
Really?
We can't ride across that.
Right.
We can't ride fast enough that the cars behind us, like it was going to be horrible. So someone ferried us across in a truck. When we crossed the bridge at Mackinac, they don't let bicyclists ride on that.
You were ferried across in a truck. So like you kind of like were like, was it a hitching situation?
So there are a lot of different groups. There's something called warm showers, which are people who will let you come stay in their homes. That didn't happen for us because it was COVID, but you could still reach out to these communities and say, hey, we've come across this situation. Do you know anybody with a pickup who might be able to get us from point A to point B?
There's a network of people out there that will assist.
And it isn't people we knew. It isn't, it's not like they said, oh, hey, Terry, nice to, but they are cycle friendly. They understand. They either are cyclists themselves or have hosted so many cyclists that they feel like cyclists themselves. And they understand that sometimes you run into issues.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I understand that completely. What is
it? They call trail angels. The people that leave water and give you places to stay and whatnot.
So it's that kind of thing. And with COVID, people were not allowing us to come spend the night in their homes, and I cannot blame them. This is early COVID. This is still, we don't quite know how it's spreading. There's no way to stop it, kind of thing.
Certainly
and we've been out. We're out and about. People are like, I don't want you in our house, but we had a few people who let us stay in their backyard, when something wasn't open. There was one couple that was very nice. They had a basement that had an exterior entrance, and they said, we just won't use our basement for a week or so. Don't worry about it. They opened their basement. We slept outside, but their basement had a bathroom in it. So we were able to go down and take a shower and use the bathroom and stay in their backyard. And they had a big meal for us, and we sat at a picnic table, spread apart. And so we still had some experiences, but it was not quite like we had planned. We thought we would be doing a whole lot of staying in people's homes.
Yeah. What date did you start in 2020?
So we had anticipated leaving the middle of May, and we actually left, I think, June 29th.
Oh, yeah. That's right when it was gaining steam.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was already on furlough. People were working from home.
Yes. And so it was a lot of people told us, don't go. Like, you're crazy. You shouldn't go. Absolutely do not go. And we decided, look, we're in the United States. We're not crossing over any, borders, right? And worst case scenario, we can break our tandem and everything down into pieces, and we can rent a car and go home. Right. It's not like we are out. I mean, we felt like we were in the wilderness often, but we weren't. We were never so far from someone that we couldn't in a day or two make a decision to rent a car and get out of there.
So we should say you were born in Athens, Greece.
Yep.
So have you ever returned there? I mean,
I did actually in 2017. My mom and I went back, and I don't remember it from a child. I was very little when we left. But she took me back, and it was fabulous because she showed me all of the places. This is where we used to live, and this and this and this. And I met the woman who used to babysit me. And she and her family had this huge meal for us. They only speak Greek. We only speak English. It was a very odd conversation. They spoke a little bit of English, but not enough to carry on real good conversation. But I have never eaten such good food in my life. We ate lunch for 4.5 hours. They just kept bringing more and
like
more
different
and
courses.
more.
Yeah.
And this woman that had babysat me, she was probably 4'10", and I'm 5'7", so I'm towering over her. And she comes up to me. She hasn't seen me since I was 2, and she pats my cheeks, and she just kept saying, "Oh, so beautiful, so beautiful."
Pinch your cheek and little darling.
Absolutely.
Eat.
Eat. And they would bring the next course, and you'd think, okay, I can't eat another bite. And then they'd bring the next course, and it was like, oh my gosh. And then when it came time for dessert, they had 5 different desserts and wanted you to try everything.
Yeah.
So when we were done, it was funny. We were staying in Athens. The little town that I actually lived in was called Kefisia, and it's like a 20-minute train ride. And we're on the train headed back to our place in Athens. And Mom said, "What do you want to do this evening?" And I looked at her. I said, "I just want to sleep. Like I have got
digest."
I was comatose. I could hardly get off the train. And we got into the hotel room and I just collapsed and slept for like 4 hours and then woke up and it was like, I'm not hungry, but I probably need to move around a little so we can go back to sleep. It was crazy food.
So
yeah, it's like tonight digest.
Yes.
I mean, Greece must have some tremendous bike trails there as well, I would imagine.
I would assume. I have not done.
That was before she was biking.
Yeah, I have not done any real bicycling outside of the U.S. My husband did. He's cycled in Germany and he's cycled in Ireland, Austria. I think those are the 3 countries that he's cycled in outside of
Now,
the US.
are you still?
I will say this: Greece is the word.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So my husband ended up getting glioblastoma, which is an incurable brain cancer, and he passed away a year ago.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
And
sorry to hear that.
so I'm not tandem cycling because I don't have a tandem partner now. I do have a bicycle that I am fitting out for myself, and my intent is there is a ride that he and I wanted to do. And it's from the mountains to the sea in North Carolina. And at some point, probably not this year, just because of things that I have going on that are going to keep me from being able to do that kind of intensive training. But at some point, I would like to do that ride and do it.
A mountain bike ride or a road bike?
So it's definitely a road bike because it's on roads.
So it's all paved from the mountain.
Yes, it's all paved. But I have the bike that I'm fitting out is a mountain bike that he changed over to be a road bike, and it fits me really well. I have very long legs and I have a very short torso, and so this particular bike really fits me. And so I like the fact that he kitted it out for roading, and that's what I need to get it worked on. It hasn't been ridden lately, so it has a lot of work. It just needs tender loving care. And so I need to take it in and get some TLC done for that.
Now, is that something where you specifically intend to do it by yourself, or would you welcome partners?
Oh, I would definitely welcome people. And the other thing is this is a big group event. So they get people from all over. And that's really going to be my speed, because with Bruce, he knew how to fix everything. So when we had problems, he knew what to do. And I stood there as, his little helper holding different tools, handing them.
Here's the wrench.
Yeah. Oh, you which one did you want? And that kind of thing. But for me to try to do something like that alone would be foolish, because I don't know how to fix my bicycle. And then I would be stranded, and stranded is not fun. So for me, if I'm going to do any kind of long-term adventures, I'll definitely be doing them in a group type setting, especially one where they have what they call the sweeper vehicle. And it's that vehicle that kind of comes up toward the end and sweeps up anybody who's not going to make it today. And they put your bicycle in a trailer and stick you inside and get you to that next spot. And then you start again the next day from there.
Right.
And so if you have a breakdown, they scoop you up, those kinds of things. And I think for me, I'm 62 years old, and I'm not an avid cyclist, and I don't know how to fix the bikes. That is a much better plan for me, would be to do something along that line. Yeah.
So we should talk about the clever title of your book. It's got like double meaning, right?
Yeah, it does.
On the surface of it, 10 little rules for a double-butted adventure kind of alludes to you and Bruce, Teri and Bruce, on their tandem bicycle. But there's also a technical reason. The double-butted term is actually a technical term, right? About the build of the bicycle.
And I did not know that. So when I said to Bruce, hey, why don't we call ourselves Double Butted Adventure? I am I'm the creative. This is who I am. I'm an author and I write books, and I'm just a creative person, and I'm the one that's always got the camera out. I'm always saying things like, "Oh, isn't that beautiful?" And Bruce is an engineer, and he's very, it is what it is, right? And so I'm thinking double-butted adventure. Isn't that cool? 2 butts, you know, one adventure. And he said, "Oh, because of the double-butted steel." And I said, "What?" Like, I don't even know what he's talking about. Well, apparently when you take tubing, steel tubing, and you stretch it as long as it needs to be stretched for something like a tandem bicycle, you have to make it thinner in the middle or it gets too heavy. The bicycle would be entirely too heavy, but it has to be thicker on the ends so that when you are welding it to the other pieces, that it will hold. And that process is called double butting.
Okay.
Which I did not know.
Well, that's perfect. So it has a bit of you and a bit of him. And the
absolutely, absolutely. And what's perfect about that is it just really shows he and I were very, very different and yet fit together so perfectly. And it's just like that title. It meant something to both of us. Yeah. And we didn't have to argue over it. It's not like I had to say, "No, I meant double butted because, you know, 2 seats." And he had to say, "No, I'm insisting." We both felt comfortable with the title and we took it to mean what we needed it to mean and moved on. So
what a wonderful memory to have.
With,
your husband.
Absolutely.
Was he amused when you did tell him your reason for double butt?
I think that he knew. I mean, you know, but in his mind, it was like, this is perfect because of double butted steel. It was like, no, I didn't even know that existed. That's
biking. When I was a kid and we were biking regularly, we had this kind of long, lowish, but you know, like hill. Yeah. Going straight down to my house. Okay. On this little street that we lived on, this little side street. And I was afraid of that hill. How did you handle things like long hills?
So, first of all, Bruce is an excellent cyclist. He was on the front, and I trusted him. Because if I hadn't trusted him, I couldn't have done it. There were some hills that I closed my eyes, kept pedaling if he needed us to pedal, and pretty much sang hymns because I was terrified.
Exactly. Yeah.
Probably a lot of coasting though too.
Yeah, there's a lot of coasting, but there was one of the first hills. So you figure I live in the coast of North Carolina and it's flat here. And by flat, I mean, I live on one of the highest places in my county at 35 feet above sea level. Okay. So it's flat. It's flat. Flat.
A good place for me.
Right. And so this is where we did most of our riding. We did some riding other places, but mostly we did it here. So we're going over a mountain range on day one. We're going over the coastal mountains in Oregon, and it's up, 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 and then down, and then up, 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 and then down, and then up, 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 and down again. And because it's Oregon, it's raining, and it was about 55 degrees. And we had just come from North Carolina where it was in the 90s. And so I was cold and I was wet and we were going down this hill and Bruce got a leg cramp. Oh. And because he had a leg cramp, he didn't want to hold the pedals still. He was gently turning, just trying to work that cramp out. Well, because my feet weren't being flat and firm, going down that hill, I felt like we were going too fast. The water was spraying up behind us from the rain. I was terrified. We got down to the end and Bruce said, "What was the matter with you?" And I said, "We were careening down the hill." And he said, "We were never careening." Yeah. And I said, "Okay, you weren't careening. I was careening. We were careening down the hill." So he had to learn a little bit about, first of all, let's not get the speed up quite so high because it really scared me.
Well, especially going down a big hill.
Yeah. It was
like when you're driving a car, you know, when you're in control of the car and you might be going a couple miles over the speed limit, you don't think anything of it. You feel like you're in control. The person in the seat next to you is going nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
Whoa. What are you doing? Right.
You're
And
too
so,
close.
too close. You're too close. And that's really the way I felt. And he told me, he said, well, in the future, tell me when you feel like we're careening, because I can maybe do something to help. But I think part of it was we normally would level the pedals, and that gave my feet something solid to sit on.
Yeah.
And this time instead, it was just a very loose, because
Perpetual
there was no
motion.
pressure on those pedals, because, you know, and so they were just kind of like, I felt like they were flopping, and my legs are just flopping, and I don't know.
Resistance.
It was horrible. I hated, still thinking about it. It's like, yeah, we were careening. He may not have been careening. I was definitely careening down the hill. So.
You said your eyes were closed.
So that one, I think I closed it about halfway. And just like, you know, like, I think, you know how you close your eyes, but you still look out of the eyelashes.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about, you know? Yeah.
Well, let's take a minute to talk about some of because you're pretty prolific. You only started your writing career fairly recently, but you've written a book about World War II called An Enemy Like Me. Your first book was called Beneath the Snow.
Sunflowers Beneath the Snow. Yeah.
Sunflowers Beneath the Snow. Okay. Yeah. And you've written self-help books. Nonfiction. Yeah. So, so you're kind of diverse, kind of like our podcast. You know, we talk about everything. You know, we're general discussion podcasts. So, what is your, what's your process on that? I mean.
Yeah. So I tell people what I really am is a character-driven author. I love a good character. And so I did some nonfiction work years ago, and I doubt I'll go back to that. It was more of a job, a business, something that helped me make money when I had small children and needed to do something. Yeah. But it's not the same kind of creativity that I like. So I like to have a good character. And if the character needs to be set in World War II, then that's where they end up. And I've just finished a book called Peg Unhinged. It'll be out in the spring. And it's a contemporary women's fiction, and it's very funny. So very different from some of the other things that I've written. So for me, the process is usually that a character starts, I don't know, like all of a sudden is born inside of my head and starts to tell me a story. And I realize, oh, this is going to be the right one. And then I have to just sit down and start telling that story and figuring out what it is. So I've got a story about 3 generations of women living in the Ukraine, started in 1970s. I've got a World War II. I have healers in the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina. That's Daughters of Green Mountain Gap. So I've got characters that live inside of my head, and I just pretty much listen to them, and they dictate the story to me, and off we go.
Awesome.
Now, who of the people dictating stories to you are you more likely to listen to for your next book?
So right now I have an idea. It's vague enough that it's hard for me to even explain. There's something, and I think it's called QP or Queepy or something like that. It's knots. People used to keep information like how many pigs they had, etc., in these knots that they would keep on these strings. Well, they learned not too long ago, I read this really cool story, that there were some people that did the knots, but they were telling a narrative story. It wasn't just numbers. It was an actual story. And that came to me that, oh my gosh, I'm going to have someone who is today who studies these things. And somehow she realizes that she's related to the person telling this story. And that the story's meant for her.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like I said, it's still very vague, and I don't know how it's going to happen. But I'm finishing up. So Peg Unhinged, I just literally got Peg Unhinged. Final edit is done. It's now being proofed, which is just where they go through and say you should have had a comma and you spelled this word wrong. So I don't have to do any more writing on that. I will have to do approving of the proofing, but I don't have to do any more writing. Now that that's done, and by just done, I mean literally this week, just done, I can now start focusing on my next writing project. I can't write more than one thing at a time.
And that's understandable.
Some people do. I have some friends who have like 3 different projects going at once. And my mind, I like certain parts of the process so much better that when I get done with that part, if I had another project, I would never do anything more on that first part. You know what I'm saying? Like, the editing process to me needs to be done. I like what happens when it's done, but I'm not as enthralled with it as the first draft process. So if I had 3 things going at once, I'd have 3 first drafts and I'd never get any of them to the edit because I would always be writing something new and not ever trying to finish up the old. So,
well, I think I'm with you. I kind of think that in my mind, a plot is really just a character delivery system.
Yeah.
Where some people, they're reading the plot is the thing.
Right. And there are definitely different kinds of books. So, there's plot driven, there's character driven, and I am more of a character driven. That's not to say my stories don't have plot, but that people who want, the fast paced adventure kind of action, that's not what they're going to get with my books. My books are much more about the character and the character's journey.
They're going to hang with the character.
And where did they start and where did they end up? And what did you think about that process on the way through? And how many times did you say things like, oh, don't, why are you doing that? You're going to ruin it. That's kind of what I like. I like to read both plot and character. But writing I'm definitely a character driven.
But without a good characters, even the best plot can be dry and boring.
That is true.
Okay, why do we want to read about Peg?
So Peg is almost 50, right at around 50. She is going through menopause and she is unhinged. That's why her title is Peg Unhinged. And we see her losing it as she tries to navigate life as a newly separated woman going through menopause. And it's just very funny. It's a very tongue-in-cheek, you're going to love her. She's, especially for women, if you're a woman who's been through menopause, going through menopause, or know that it's coming, this is going to be a book that you can laugh at, that you'll be able to identify with this woman and understand her completely.
Yeah. And I've started reading more midlife stories.
Yeah.
And I feel like I love Peg Unhinged as a title.
Yeah.
But I think of it as empowered.
Yes.
Because I've gotten to the point where it's, what is it they say? I'm fitty. Basically, I don't care anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
I will wear my pajamas to the grocery store if I want to.
So Peg, in the end, what we see is Peg struggling with that idea, where she's still trying to be what she was at 20, and it's not working for her anymore. No. And she eventually realizes who she is and accepts who she is and is good with that, and so it's kind of it's a coming of age story for middle age versus a coming of age story for, a teenager.
Okay. Coming into your power, realizing, I'm not worried. No, I don't care what they want on TikTok.
Yeah.
That's not going to work for me.
So
No.
we should mention our guest's name occasionally, and it's Teri M. Brown.
Yeah.
The book is 10
The book
Little
we're talking
Rules
about
of
today.
Double-Butted Adventure.
Yeah.
But she has many other books.
So I don't think she does have many other books. But I don't think we left ourselves enough time for the Elite Eight, but I think that's okay because we've had a very energized discussion. I think it's been a really good discussion. Aaron, I want to give you an opportunity. Do you have any questions before we close out?
You live in North Carolina and started the ride in Oregon?
Oregon, yes.
How did you get your bike there? Did you
fire
it there, or did you fly it?
We shipped it out. There's something called bike flights, which is like UPS for bicycles, which I didn't even know existed, but they tell you what size box you need and you do it all up. You mail it to a bicycle shop. And then when you get there to the bicycle shop, you put it back together and now you're ready to get started. So we had it mailed to a bicycle shop in Astoria, Oregon. And that's where we started our trip. And everything else we brought in duffel bags. So we had all of our panniers and other things in the duffel bags and all of the stuff we were going to put in them. And then we just shipped the duffel bags back home.
Okay.
Because that was easier than trying to ship a suitcase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I've actually boxed and mailed my vacation wardrobe to where we were going. It worked out great when we went to Hilton Head, South Carolina, but not quite as good when we went to Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Wasn't it like 3 times the cost of what it was? When
No, it was more.
It was ridiculous,
like
yeah.
maybe double the cost, but it's still cheaper than another suitcase.
Yes.
But wasn't it like days late?
Yes, that was the problem.
That was the problem too.
When one box arrived, the one with his stuff. The box with my stuff took a little longer. So I was literally, and also we had not expected the temperature to be in the sudden and unexpected cold wave of 50 degrees in Las Vegas. So I had packed for 70s, and that did not go so well.
Yep.
I was pretty much freezing until we left Las Vegas.
And that always happens. You know, one of the things that we did as we packed, like I said, we had the 2 main outfits, but I also had long sleeves and some gloves and a hat. Because even though it was summer, sometimes in the elevations that we were in and at night, it would get cold enough that it was cold.
Yeah.
You know,
you're 30 feet above sea level. I'm 6,230 feet above sea level here.
It's significantly different, you know. And so when you're up high and it's cold and it's nighttime, and you're sleeping in a tent, we used a lot of body warmth. I mean, Bruce was a furnace. And so I would always scoot up against him. There was one night we were angry at each other. We didn't stay angry very long. We learned that trying to ride angry and be angry in a tent makes no sense. And so we figured it out. But one night we were angry and I was cold and I could not fall asleep. And I finally scooted up so that my back was up against his back. And I said, "This doesn't mean anything."
I'm just using you.
Yes, I'm still angry, but you're warm and I'm not.
Yeah.
So that's
now, how hard was it to deal with rain gear?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, you have the rain. You don't do a ton in terms of rain gear because the truth is if you're on a bicycle and it's raining, you're going to get wet. You know, it's just what it is. So we had just a lightweight windbreaker, almost see-through type thing that rolled up into a tiny little ball. And you would pull it out and just put it over your top half. You didn't really worry that your legs were getting wet. And then when the rain would stop, you could pull that back off. And now you weren't cold because you were wet as the rain was hitting. Yeah.
Well, we got 2 minutes here. So, Teri, why don't you tell our audience where they can find you and your work on the web?
Fantastic. The best place is to go to my website, which is my name, TeriMBrown.com. And that's Teri with 1 R. There you can find all my books. I have a podcast where I talk to other authors called Online for Authors. It's there. You can sign up for my newsletter. All of my social media links are there. And there's even just a contact me page that you're welcome to just reach out and ask me any questions. And I'd love to talk to you.
Outstanding. All right. Well, this has been a lively hour. I knew we would enjoy it. And you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much.
Have another adventure to share with us. And you have a wonderful rest of your day.
We'll even approve a single-butted adventure. For
okay. Super.
Right. All right. You have a great day.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.